The breakup had been 3 months ago, but the ghost of Liam still haunted every corner of my life. It wasn't just the memories, it was the physical remnants. His toothbrush in my travel bag, a forgotten charger in my drawer, and most annoyingly, half my wardrobe still sitting in his apartment. I called him on a Tuesday, my voice carefully neutral. "Liam, can you ship my things? Just box them up. I'll pay for the courier." His voice was low, laced with that familiar rasp that used to make my knees weak. "I'm not your errand boy, Stella. If you want your stuff, come get it yourself." I should have known better. Liam never did anything the easy way. When I arrived at his apartment door, the heavy oak door I used to have a key to, my heart was pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I knocked. The door swung open. Liam stood there, and my breath hitched. He was wearing nothing but a white bath towel wrapped precariously low around his waist. His skin was damp, smelling of cedarwood and steam. Droplets of water clung to his dark hair, trailing down the sharp line of his jaw, over his Adam's apple, and tracing the defined planes of his chest muscles. "You're here," he said, his voice dropping an octave. I tried to keep my eyes on his face, but it was impossible. He was a masterpiece of masculine beauty, and he knew it. The arrogance in his half-smile told me everything. "I just came for the box," I managed to say, my voice trembling slightly. I stepped inside, intending to grab my things and run. But the moment the door clicked shut behind me, the air shifted. It became heavy, charged with 3 years of history and unresolved tension. Liam moved faster than I anticipated. He didn't reach for a box. He reached for me. His hand closed around my wrist, pulling me into him. The towel slipped, pooling on the floor in a soft heap. I gasped as my body collided with his, hard, warm, and undeniably naked. I felt the press of him against my stomach, the heat radiating off his skin like a furnace. "Liam, we shouldn't." I started, but the protest died on my lips as his mouth found mine. It was a kiss of possession, hungry and demanding. My resistance crumbled like sand in the tide. My hands found their way into his damp hair, pulling him closer. We stumbled backward toward the bedroom, a tangle of limbs and desire. We spent the night in a frenzy, as if trying to erase the last 3 months of silence with the friction of our bodies. It was wild, desperate, and perfect. Chapter 2, The Morning After. I woke up the next morning wrapped in his arms, the heavy duvet cocooning us from the world. The early morning light filtered through the curtains, painting stripes of gold across the room. For a moment, I allowed myself to believe it was real. That this wasn't just a lapse in judgment, but a reconciliation. I turned in his arms, tracing the line of his jaw with my finger. He stirred, his eyes fluttering open. Those beautiful, upturned eyes that had first captivated me in our freshman year. We spoke almost simultaneously. "How about we start over?" I whispered, hope blooming in my chest. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice raspy with sleep. "I'm getting married." The words hung in the air, colliding with mine. The silence that followed was deafening. The morning light suddenly felt harsh, glaring off the white sheets and catching on Liam's sculpted abs as he sat up. My mind went blank. I blinked, sure I had misheard him. What did you say?" Liam looked calm. Too calm. He leaned back against the headboard, the sheet pooling at his waist. He reached for the pack of cigarettes on the nightstand, lit one, and took a long drag. All my friends are married, he said, exhaling a plume of smoke toward the ceiling. I've had my fun. It's time to settle down. The acrid smoke billowed toward me, making me cough uncontrollably. In the past, the old Liam would have immediately put it out, waving the smoke away and apologizing. He knew I hated the smell. But this Liam just watched me cough with detached indifference. He swung his legs out of bed, casually grabbing a pair of boxers and sweatpants from the floor. He tossed my clothes at me, my dress from the night before, now wrinkled and sad-looking. Get dressed, he said flatly. You should go. Oh, and take that half-open box of condoms from the nightstand. I won't be needing them anymore anyway. I sat there, clutching my dress to my chest, feeling naked in more ways than one. You won't need them? A soft, tender smile touched his lips, a smile I had never seen directed at me in this context. It was a smile of hope, of future. With any luck, he murmured, almost to himself, I could be a dad by this time next year. My heart felt a sharp, bitter pang. It was like being stabbed with an ice pick. Liam, who had always told me he hated kids, who refused to even discuss marriage, was now planning a family. Who is she? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Does it matter? He shrugged, pulling on a shirt. I was about to scream, to demand answers, when a sharp knock sounded at the front door. Knock. 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 Liam froze. He glanced at his phone on the nightstand and muttered a curse under his breath. Damn it. I forgot Chloe is coming today. Chloe. He frantically crushed his cigarette into the ashtray, waving his hand to disperse the smoke. He rummaged through the closet for a fresh white t-shirt to cover the smell, pulling it on in a panic. He turned to me, his eyes cold and commanding. Stay in here. Don't make a sound. I stood there frozen, watching his back as he walked out of the bedroom without a backward glance. He closed the door, leaving me alone in the room where we had just made love. Chapter 3, The Girl Behind the Door. I should have stayed put. I should have climbed out the window. I should have disappeared. But I couldn't. I sniffled, wiping the tears that were spilling down my cheeks despite my best efforts to stop them. I tiptoed to the door and pulled it open just a crack. Through the sliver of space, I saw her. Chloe. She was standing in the kitchen, unpacking a paper bag of pastries. She was elegant in a way I never was, soft beige trench coat, perfectly coiffed hair, a gentle demeanor. She spoke softly, her voice like wind chimes. I brought croissants, she said. And that dark roast coffee you like. When she and Liam moved around the kitchen setting out plates, she blushed at the slightest brush of their hands. And Liam. Liam was transformed. The arrogant, dismissive jerk who had just thrown clothes at me was gone. In his place was a man walking on eggshells. He spoke carefully, his tone gentle, afraid of saying anything too harsh or loud. He pulled out a chair for her. He poured her coffee. He looked at her like she was made of glass. They sat down to eat. It was a picture of domestic bliss that made my stomach churn. Then, Chloe looked down at her coffee cup, her voice turning quiet and insecure. Liam. I heard you had a girlfriend for 3 years. Before me. Liam stiffened. Who told you that? People talk, she murmured. Her voice grew softer, laced with anxiety. What if she comes back for you someday? Will you leave me and get back together with her? After all, we've only known each other for less than a month. You two had 3 years together. That's a lot of history. Who is spreading that nonsense? Liam's face instantly darkened, his tone icy and defensive. Is someone jealous that I found true love? Are they deliberately telling you all that bullshit to ruin us? Chloe flinched at his tone. Tears welled up in her eyes. Seeing her reaction, Liam panicked. The ice melted instantly. He sighed, rubbing his temples helplessly, then bent down next to her chair. He took her hands in his, coaxing her gently. Chloe, baby, I'm not mad at you. He let out a breath, suppressing his anger at whoever had spilled the beans. I didn't mean to keep it from you. It's just, my ex, Stella. I held my breath, gripping the door handle so hard my knuckles turned white. She was such a drama queen, Liam said, shaking his head. Her temper was awful. Like a firecracker, always exploding at the slightest touch. I was walking on eggshells for 3 years. Lies. I was the one who calmed him down when he got into fights. I was the one who apologized when he was late. And Liam lowered his voice, looking straight into Chloe's eyes with a look of utter sincerity. We broke up because she was unfaithful. She cheated on me. My jaw dropped. Chloe's eyes widened in horror. She cheated on you? Oh, Liam. I just thought she was too embarrassing to mention to you, Liam added quickly, sealing the coffin on my character. Think about it, Chloe. Why would I give up a perfect fiancé like you and go back to a rotten person like that? Have I lost my damn mind? A few seconds of silence hung in the kitchen. Then, Chloe let out a giggle, turning her head shyly, her cheeks flushing pink. I'm not as perfect as you say. You are to me, Liam whispered, leaning in to kiss her forehead. I softly closed the bedroom door. All the strength seemed to drain from my body. I slid down the wood until I hit the cold floor. I hugged my knees to my chest, burying my face in my skirt, letting the despair wash over me. He had erased me. Worse, he had rewritten me into a villain to make himself look like a victim, just to secure this new, perfect life. Chapter 4, The $20 Goodbye. I must have cried myself to sleep right there on the floor. When I woke up, the room was bright. The front door slammed shut in the distance. Liam walked back into the bedroom a moment later. He didn't even notice my state, my swollen eyes, my crumpled posture. He walked past me, pulled out his phone, and fiddled with it for a moment. Ding! My phone buzzed in my purse. I transferred $20 to you, he said lazily, flopping onto the bed. I blinked, my mind still hazy. What? For the cab, he said, not looking up from his screen. And? He paused, scrolling. Didn't you run out of your streaming service membership? The one we shared? Get one yourself, he interrupted. I changed the password and gave the account to Chloe. Don't use such lame excuses to see me anymore. It's getting boring. The humiliation was a physical weight in my chest. I wanted to scream. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him that he was the one who refused to let me pay for my own account because he liked having control. But the lump in my throat choked my words. Liam finally looked at me. He stared at my red, puffy eyes. His gaze darkened slightly. Crying, he mocked. He leaned closer, swinging his legs off the bed so his face was level with mine. His warm breath fanned my face. The atmosphere became strangely unsettling. In that instant, despite everything, my traitorous brain flashed back to the good times. In college, Liam was the golden boy. The playboy. But I was the exception. I was the only girlfriend he ever officially acknowledged. He took me to galas. He held my hand in public. He punched a guy who spilled a drink on me. We'd broken up and gotten back together so many times that our friends called it a toxic cycle, but to me, it felt like passion. He was never stingy with me. He kept his distance from other women when we were together. His looks and family background were impeccable. Thinking of this, a pathetic thought bubbled up. Maybe I could fix this. Maybe if I just compromised. Actually, I croaked, my voice hoarse. I'm not completely against marriage. It was you who found the responsibility too much pressure, so I went along with you about not getting married. If that's what you want now. Before the words could fully escape, a blinding flash of light hit my eyes. Click. I recoiled, blinking spots from my vision. Liam lowered his phone, a smirk playing on his lips. His beautiful upturned eyes narrowed slightly, full of mockery. First time I've seen you cry like this, he chuckled. Let me take a picture for old time's sake. A souvenir of the crazy ex. He put away his phone, satisfied. He looked down at me, his voice laced with scorn. Seriously, Stella? You didn't shed a single tear when I broke my arm saving you in that car accident junior year. So what are you crying for now? A Netflix password? I'm crying because you're a liar, I whispered. Don't be dramatic, he scoffed. He reached out and, as he used to habitually, flicked my nose. It was a gesture that used to be affectionate. Now it felt condescending. And don't try to be like Chloe when she cries, he added. When she cries, it's elegant. Like a painting. You just look ridiculous. Go practice some more before you try to manipulate me. Something inside me snapped. The tether that held me to him, the love, the history, the hope, severed cleanly. I stood up. My legs were shaky, but my hand was steady. I looked at his arrogant, infuriating expression. I took a deep breath. I swung my arm and gave him the hardest slap I could muster. Crack. His head whipped to the side. The smirk vanished, replaced by shock. I didn't wait for him to recover. I grabbed my purse and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I closed it quietly. I walked out of the apartment building, hailed a cab, and went straight to the airport. I bought the earliest flight home. I blocked him on all my social media. I deleted his number. This Ocean View city, with Liam in it, was a place I never wanted to step foot in again. Chapter 5, The Wedding Guest. 6 months passed. I threw myself into work. I got a promotion. I started dating a nice guy named Mark who didn't smoke and actually asked about my day. I was healing. But fate has a twisted sense of humor. I had forgotten about the wedding. My university classmate, Sarah, was getting married. Liam and I had promised to be the groomsman and bridesmaid a year ago, back when we were the it couple. I couldn't back out. Sarah was one of my best friends. I had to brace myself and fly back to Ocean View City a day early. I went straight to the groom's house for the rehearsal dinner. My hand was just raised, ready to knock on the door of the private room at the restaurant. Then I heard Liam's lazy, drawling voice from inside. Chloe's a bit timid, so watch what you say later. Don't bring up the wild college days. Don't scare her, someone joked. It sounded like Mike, the groom. Are you and Stella really over for good? What happened this time? Liam paused. There was the sound of a glass clinking against a table. Yeah, he grunted. It was exciting at first, Liam continued, his voice carrying through the door. Stella was intense, passionate. But after a while, it was just whatever. She was too controlling. Always trying to tell me what to do. No smoking, no drinking, no coming home late, no touching her without a condom. It was suffocating. No matter how urgent, the groom scoffed. Exactly, Liam laughed. I just didn't want to marry her. So I lied about being against marriage in general to get her off my back. Women like her are fine for fun, great for a weekend, but for marriage? For the mother of my kids? It has to be someone sweet and sensible like Chloe. My blood ran cold. You guys don't even know, Liam bragged. Chloe is incredibly compliant. She barely has a temper. She cooks, she cleans, she doesn't ask questions. That's wife material. Compliant. That was his word for love. I pushed the door open. The laughter in the room died instantly. Liam was sitting at the head of the table, a drink in his hand. The latter half of his sentence stopped abruptly the moment our eyes met. He visibly flustered for a moment. His eyes darted to the door behind me, checking if Chloe was there. When he saw I was alone, he regained his composure. He smiled, that practiced, charming smile. Stella. You're here. He stood up, buttoning his jacket, acting as if he hadn't just been trash-talking me to a room full of our mutual friends. It's almost time, he said, checking his watch. I need to check in on Chloe or my significant other will start worrying. You know how she gets. He walked past me. As he did, he leaned in and whispered, Don't cause a scene, Stella. For Sarah's sake. He left. The atmosphere in the room became extremely awkward. Everyone looked at their plates. Someone coughed. Mike tried to make a joke about the weather. Only Caleb, Liam's quietest friend from college, suddenly stood up. He walked over to where I was standing, still frozen by the door. He looked at me with serious eyes. I told you two weren't right for each other a long time ago, Caleb said coldly. He never deserved you. Chapter 6, The Unraveling. The wedding day was a blur of satin and forced smiles. I walked down the aisle as a bridesmaid. Liam walked down as the best man. We stood on opposite sides of the altar. Chloe was there, sitting in the front row. She looked beautiful, fragile, and utterly adoring as she watched Liam. At the reception, I kept my distance. I sat at a table in the back, nursing a glass of champagne. May I have this dance? It was Caleb. We moved to the dance floor. Caleb was a good dancer, sturdy, reliable. He's cheating on her, Caleb said suddenly, spinning me around. I missed a step. What? Liam, Caleb said. He's cheating on Chloe. With his secretary. It started 2 weeks ago. He told us at the bachelor party last night. Bragged about how compliant women are easy to fool. I felt a surge of nausea. Does she know? No, Caleb said. But she will. Suddenly, the music stopped. The DJ tapped the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, the best man would like to make a toast. Liam stepped up to the mic, looking dapper in his tuxedo. Chloe beamed at him from her table. To Mike and Sarah, Liam raised his glass. To love. To finding the person who completes you. I'm lucky enough to have found my Chloe. He gestured to her. The room applauded. And I want to announce, Liam continued, his smile widening, that we've set a date. Next spring. Cheers erupted. Chloe covered her mouth in joy. I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was a waiter. Miss Stella? A gentleman asked me to give you this. He handed me a napkin. On it was written a phone number and a note, call this number. It's Chloe's sister. She needs to know. I looked at Caleb. He winked. I walked out to the balcony. I dialed the number. Hello? A woman's voice answered. Hi, I said. You don't know me, but I have some information about Liam that your sister needs to hear. And I have proof. I didn't have proof of the cheating. But I had the voicemails. The ones from the night I went to get my clothes. The ones where he called me late at night, drunk, complaining about how boring and vanilla Chloe was compared to me. The ones I had saved because I was pathetic, but now they were ammunition. I sent the audio files. Epilogue, the crash. 3 months later. I was back in my city, sitting in a coffee shop with Mark. We were laughing about a movie we'd just seen. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Scandal in Ocean View, socialite calls off wedding to sterling heir after leaked audio tapes. I clicked the link. There was a video. It was Chloe, standing on the steps of the church where they were supposed to get married. She wasn't crying elegantly. She was furious. She was holding a microphone. Liam Sterling is a liar and a cheater, she announced to the press. And for the record, I was never compliant. I was just blind. The article went on to say that Chloe's wealthy father had pulled all investment from Liam's startup company. Liam was being sued for breach of contract. His reputation was in tatters. I put the phone down. Everything okay? Mark asked, taking a sip of his latte. I looked at the screen one last time. There was a photo of Liam, looking disheveled and angry, dodging paparazzi. He looked alone. Yeah, I smiled, taking Mark's hand. Everything is perfect. I deleted the news app. I had a life to live, and it didn't involve Liam Sterling. Not anymore.